We have Sam in Ohio. Pronouns are she, they. And Sam's husband teaches social studies, and Sam has some questions for us. So welcome.
Hi, Matt. Hi, JMike. So I'm calling on behalf of my husband, who is a 7th grade social studies teacher, to protect his job. So he's at a new school with a new curriculum, and he's having to cover the spread of, it's a public school, and he's having to cover the spread of Christianity. Now, he's got some real issues with some of the things that he is required to teach his students and required reading. One of the things that the students have to read is, did the Founding Fathers really want separation of church and state? Correct answer, no. Look at our money, the Pledge of Allegiance, and our government, and you will see that it is not a separation of faith and state.
Hey, Sam? Without getting into details, to potentially, because we don't want to put your husband at risk, where did this curriculum come from? And we are talking about a public school, right?
Yes, this is a public school. And this is the curriculum that he was given by the administration.
Okay. This needs to be reported immediately to the Freedom from Religion Foundation and potentially other organizations as well. Because if they're suggesting that, if they're making the case that the Founding Fathers didn't support the notion of separation of church and state, I don't know why that's in the curriculum. It's definitely not true. And if they're saying that it's, their argument is, look at money, okay, well, it wasn't on all paper money until 1954. So, which I'm sure I'm not telling you anything that you don't know and that your husband doesn't know.
Yeah, right.
This needs to be brought up. We need to get Andrew Seidel from the Freedom from Religion Foundation involved to find out where this curriculum is coming from, if they're already aware of it, and what can be done. Hopefully without getting your husband in, well, we have no interest in getting your husband in any trouble.
Yeah.
Right. He's having to present this next week, and he's like, how do I handle this? Because this is all giving the students complete misinformation. There's more, including talking about how to spread Christianity. If you tell 12 people, just like Jesus's disciples, then they'll go and tell 12 people, and then 12 more people. And it's worded in a way that sounds, that it's implying that it's encouraging the students, not just saying that's how Christianity spread originally.
Yeah, this is extremely bad. I mean, I can only echo what Matt said. I mean, you have to. We are limited, especially if privacy and things involved. We're limited on what to say, given the information we have. But you kind of have everything on the plate, so to speak. The only thing that really can happen, I think, is reporting it. I don't see any other way. You have to cut it at the source. It could just be the case that he walks in and tries to deal with it, and then I wouldn't want to jeopardize his job, and I would never want to give advice for that. But it definitely needs to be reported on some level. That doesn't seem to fit any curriculum that should actually be implemented in any way in public schools. I would expect that from a private Christian school.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm calling, because he's a nervous wreck about it. He's like, what do I do?
Well, what he does for now is he does his job because he's not a lawyer, and there's absolutely no sense in him getting in trouble or having issues while we're sorting this out. The right thing to do is I've already texted Andrew Seidel right now. And I'm finding out how busy he is and whether or not we can get him to call in to chime in on this. But at a minimum, I would recommend going to the Freedom from Religion Foundation's website and or calling their number tomorrow, just to say, we'd like to report this. They will safeguard, your husband and your husband's identity and yours. We have to have, and it may be the case that, okay, who's got standing? What do we do? And it may be solved over a simple letter. But there's a lot of what you said that I am in complete agreement with your husband. This should not be taught in public schools as part of the curriculum.
Right.
How do you spread Christianity? Now, it could be that in an abstract sense, you could say, how do religions spread? Well, and I'm old enough to remember something. JMike's not. I have no idea whether or not you or your husband are. There was an old commercial that was for a hair care product. And so the commercial was like, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on, and so on. And then the number of people on the screen start multiplying. And so as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, they're using the old commercial to talk about how Christianity could be spread. If they're using it in a general sense to say that this is how these ideas spread, that's fine. And if they're not saying anything about the truth of it, but if they're focused on Christianity to the exclusion of other religions, that could also be a problem.
It does touch on other religions, but very briefly. It does. The students are asked, do you know anyone who is oppressed for his or her faith? And it does talk a little bit about the spread of Islam, but it seems like proselytizing to me.
Sure, especially if you ask that question and you're not asking, have you been criticized for a lack of faith? Because that seems to be, at least from my standing growing up and people I know, very common.
Yeah, there's nothing mentioned about a lack of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. And frankly, they may not be in violation just for not mentioning that.
Sure.
It's really difficult.
Yeah,
I sent a message. Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I sent a message to Andrew. I don't know. I gave him a number where we could call in and perhaps get something. Most likely he is busy, probably spending time with his family before having to go back to work tomorrow to fight this stuff all over again. But definitely reach out to the Freedom from Religion Foundation as soon as you can. Because if they're not already aware of it, I know they want to be.
Okay. Yes, I'll definitely call them. He'll be at work tomorrow, but I will definitely call. Because the other thing he wants me to bring up is that they really stress the oppression of Christianity in the curriculum.
Who's they? Specifically,
the creator of the curriculum.
Studiesweekly.com.
It's studiesweekly.com.
Studiesweekly.com. All right, I'll note that and I'll pass that on to Andrew. Apart from that, I don't have any other advice or thought on it, and I would need to look into it. What I can say is that I'm working to get Andrew back on the hang up soon. As soon as he has time, he's crazy busy. And if we haven't had some sort of, if you haven't heard back from FFRF by then maybe call in again and we can address it then. Because apart from telling you to call Freedom from Religion Foundation or Americans United for Separation of Church and State, things like that, I don't have other advice other than the best thing that your husband can do is what he's already doing, which is letting someone know about it and through channels that keep him safe. And then to keep doing the job because A, he's not a lawyer and he can get himself in trouble by making decisions about what should and shouldn't be happening. And we need to wake a lot of people up to how often this stuff is going on.
Right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Sam.
And I'll definitely be making those phone calls tomorrow. Thank
you so much, and best of luck. I am hoping for a good resolution. I will say that with organizations like FFRF, wow, working on this, we do see changes and results. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to them.
Absolutely. And call us
Thank
back
you.
and let us know how it goes in case we don't hear anything else. But we
definitely.
appreciate you and your husband being diligent on this,
Okay.
and take care. Oh, there we go. The delayed thing.
That's kind of puts a weird pit in your stomach to know that that's kind of happening, especially from a public standpoint in that sense. Because I remember in high school in my 9th grade year, my teacher coming in for teaching biology, which he was like a coach first and foremost, and a teacher second. But I live in Georgia, and I remember him coming in the classroom in biology and then going, unfortunately, required by the state, I have to teach the theory of evolution. And I remember everybody in the class groaning, and I'm looking around the room like, what? Why are you guys now all of a sudden not wanting to do this? Like, what was chlorophyll and all these other things that wasn't boring, but now this specifically is, and that was when I realized in that moment, kind of how people have already been taught this right in their lives. Because I didn't grow up with my parents telling me, watch out for evolution and these things. So when I'm looking around the classroom and seeing my own teacher disgruntled and visibly showing I don't believe in this, but I'm forced to teach it. That's like the closest I've gotten to seeing that. But to see something like that, if what she's saying is true in that light, I'm sure wording is everything, especially legality wise. But yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow for her husband.